Hello everyone, Yubel Master, aka 38 the Master One here, bringing you another video for the Yubel community, and today we're continuing with the Phantom Nightmare reveals with some support for Majespecters. This is quite interesting from my perspective because back in 2017, before I quit the game, I actually wanted to invest in Majespecters as like my first meta deck. Okay, let's go with the first one here. We have Majespecter Porcupine. It's a wind spellcaster pendulum monster, just like all of the other Majespecter cards. Pendulum scale 2, level 4, with 1500 attack and defense. And the effect is you can only use the first and second monster effects of this card's name once per turn. During the main phase, if you control a Majespecter monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from the hand. Nice, free extender. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one Majespecter spell in your graveyard and set it. And 3 is cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. So just like all of the other Majespecters. So this is basically just an extender. The setting from the graveyard isn't that significant of an effect because most of the spell cards, if I remember, are quick play, so you can't activate it on the same turn. So this is mainly just an extender, which is really good because Majespecters did not have an extender before this. So very much needed for the archetype. Let's go on to the next card. It is an XYZ Pendulum monster, wind spellcaster, Majespecter Draco. It's a Pendulum scale 5, rank 4, 2300 attack, 2000 defense. Let's actually read the monster effect first, and then we'll read the pendulum effect next. 2 level 4 monsters, so it's generic. If you can pendulum summon level 4, you can pendulum summon this card face up from your extra deck. You can only use the first monster effect of this card's name up to twice per turn. If a monster is attributed while this monster is on the field, you can detach one material from this card, special summon one level 6 or lower wind spellcaster monster from your deck. Okay, so that's pretty good because it can summon Kirin, even though Kirin is banned. But otherwise, it's just a straight up special summon from the deck because most of your spell cards do tribute, although most of the old spell cards are tributing to do something that interrupts your opponent. So there does need to be some kind of tribute that doesn't require opponent's cards and monsters, but I think there is later on, so we'll get onto that. The second effect is if this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect or tributed, you can place it in your pendulum zone. Okay, so instead of going face up in the extra deck when it's destroyed, you can put it in the pendulum zone instead. So that's pretty cool. And that brings us on to the pendulum effect. So when it is in the pendulum zone, you can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. If you have a Majespecter or Draco Slayer card in your other pendulum zone, you can add one Majespecter card from your deck to your hand. Then you can destroy one card in your pendulum zone. So this seems to be another standard pendulum effect that adds consistency to pendulum decks. And just as expected from the name, it does also have synergy with its partner archetype, the Draco Slayers. So yeah, this is a very solid XYZ pendulum card for the archetype. Now let's go on to the Link monster. It's called Majespecter Orth, or Orthus Nue. I think in Japanese it just says Majespecter Auditor, which probably means Orth. Anyway, it's a wind spellcaster, a Link 2, and it has 1500 attack with 2 very convenient link arrows, and it requires 2 pendulum monsters including a Majespecter monster. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is link summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Majespecter and Draco Slayer monsters, so it does lock you into the archetypes. Also add up to 2 face-up Majespecter pendulum monsters from your extra deck to your hand. Okay, then you can add up to 2 Majespecter pendulum monsters with different names from each other from your deck to your extra deck face up. Wow, okay. This is really strong. There's a very obvious combo going on here because as soon as you link summon this, you can just immediately use the 2 monsters that you link summoned to add them back to your hand and then use them as pendulum scales to summon the 2 extra pendulum monsters that you just searched from your deck to put face up in your extra deck. This is essentially a +4 almost. Similar to that Synchron card that just summons 4 from the deck. I see that their way of giving legacy support for this is just to make it unbelievably broken, but then funnel it into one card so that it becomes an imperm target or a Veiler target, which has always been debatable card design amongst the community, but I do like these cards because they are pretty fun when they actually pop off. So yeah, this card is absolutely amazing, and very obviously so, because it just gives you 4 cards essentially. I'm pretty sure Majespecters definitely needed this, because last time I saw Majespecters, they were really good for the time as a kind of control deck where you just set up your scales and then starts pendulum summoning all of them, and then they all have search effects. So essentially you kind of just snowball and you just get infinite searches and just overwhelm your opponent with interruptions using your spells and traps, which was okay for the format back then where games lasted more than several turns. But yeah, this Link monster definitely brings it up to speed with the current meta. Also, Majespecters having an in-archetype Link monster does help them with the pendulum summoning, giving them 2 extra zones that they can summon from the extra deck. And this is in addition to the other pendulum support, like Exceed the Pendulum or something. I don't know. As someone who used to play Majespecters, I'll definitely be checking out this archetype when it comes out in Phantom Nightmare. And let's go on to the 4th and final support card for the Majespecters. It's called Majespecter Wind. It's a quick play spell, like most of the spells are. It says you can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. When you activate this card, you can also tribute 1 Wind spellcaster monster. Okay, so unlike the other spells and traps, the tribute is actually optional. So the effect is special summon 1 Majespecter monster from your hand or graveyard, or if you tributed a monster at activation, you can special summon it from your deck instead. Okay, you get to decide whether you want to special summon from the hand or graveyard, or spend more resources to special summon straight from the deck. So this is an excellent extender for the deck. And since, as I mentioned before, most of the other spells and traps require your opponent to have monsters to actually interact with, this one is, I think, is the only spell card that doesn't require monsters to be interacted with. So if you search this with the crow that searches for spell cards,
it is.
I'll correct that in editing if I'm wrong. Yeah, you can just search this and then essentially start comboing, because then you can search the Porcupine, which extends, and then go into the Link monster, and then you get your +4, and then you can XYZ summon and then keep on comboing. So basically, they turned it from an outdated control deck into an actual deck. So yeah, this is very solid legacy support. I will definitely be trying this out because I did like the Majespecter archetype back in the day. This actually poses a question because I do know that Kirin is banned. I do wonder, do you think that it's safe for Kirin to return because they're releasing support for Majespecters? Do you think it's still strong and abusable in other archetypes that aren't Majespecters? Because the Majespecter pendulum scales are 2 and 5 for all of them, so Kirin can't actually be pendulum summoned in its own archetype, which is what makes it better in most other archetypes where you can just pendulum summon it and make use of that quick effect bounce. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Make sure you stay tuned for more Phantom Nightmare reveals. There's plenty more to come. So yeah, thanks for watching everyone. Subscribe for more Yubel content, and I'll see you in the next video.